Hello everyone and welcome to the Shuffle Squad YouTube channel. My name is Elena. Maybe some of you already know me because I've been lately casting the late night events here in Europe. By the way, if you don't participate in the late night events, remember that they are for free and they are an amazing opportunity to win a paid trip to Japan. But well, today I'm not here to cast any games. I am here to present you the best new decks that are going to appear in our post-rotation format once that Scarlet and Violet finally comes. So I really hope that this is something that you enjoy. I am really excited to talk about all the new decks that are going to make a splash, to discuss weaknesses, to discuss strengths, and to overall give you a starting point or where to start testing. By the way, don't leave the testing for the very last minute because we don't have that many weeks left till the rotation finally happens. So before going into the lists that I have prepared for you today, I just want to mention that if you like our content, that you can consider supporting the Shuffle Squad by different options that, by the way, are going to have a positive impact on your Pokemon TCG career, so to say. You can, if you're looking for code cards, you can buy them at PTCGO store with our discount code, and if you're looking for physical cards to play the product, you can do the same thing at Atlas Collectionables, and you have all the information in the description down below. So, having said that, I imagine that some of you might be wondering, okay, great Elena, but knowing that the expansion is still yet to be released here, how do you know what are the top decks? Is this all based on pure speculation? Well, it is not, because remember that in Japan they have been already testing the cards for at least 1 month, so there is a lot of results that we can take into consideration to know exactly what are the decks that are dominating and what are the decks that are not performing that well. One of the best sources of information that you can have right now is the Champions Leagues. There are many Champions Leagues happening in Japan and official tournaments. Oh, one thing that I need to point out about Japan is that they don't play exactly the same format as we do. Not that they play with different cards, but they play best of 1, 25 minutes. Instead, when you know that when Scarlet and Violet comes to the rest of the world, we are going to be playing best of 3 games. It does not mean that we should not take a look at these results. I think that they are a great starting point, and that whenever a new expansion launches, you always should look at Japan to see exactly what is being played. Anyways, so as you can see, more than 3,000 players reunited in Aichi to play a Champions League this past 25th of February, and you can already see a trend, which I think it's really interesting, and this gives us this provides us with great clarity on which are the best decks. So I'm going to start with the one that I consider is going to be the tier S of the format, and this is out of question, which is Lost Box. Now, I am going to make a small disclaimer. There are different ways to approach Lost Box here. As you know, Lost Box is not something new. This deck has been with us for the past, 6 months or so, and there are different ways to approach this build. You can go with, as this player did, with Zamazenta, with Snorlax, and then you can run some B attackers like Reiko and Drapion, because Drapion also covers you the Mew matchup, and then get advantage of the Sky Seal Stone, which was released in Crown Zenith. It does not mean that this is the only build. I personally think that this is by far the most stable build, but there are other players that have opted to play. Remember that early builds in the early days of Lost Dawn, where people were playing things like Cross Switchers and Charizard and Fire Energies, that those are other options that I have seen, and that I think that they are also interesting to consider. But at the end of the day, this is the one that will give you the most flexibility, that will help you beat most of the matchups, and I think that, well, this is probably the version that you should start testing. Interesting aspects about this type of deck: you are still going to be using Sableye to attack a lot, Zamazenta and Snorlax to revenge KO your basic Pokemon, Reiko, you could add a second Cramorant if you really wanted to, and then the biggest changes here is that we are going to be playing Clara instead of Ordinary Road, because we are not going to be able to use it anymore. And also this new stadium, which is amazing, is probably one of the best stadiums that I've seen in a while. This is basically a reprint of Sky Arrow Bridge, which is the time where I started playing, and allows you to have free retreat. We are losing a Scoop Net, but still I feel that this is one of the best decks that it is out there, and the one that everyone wants to counter. Now, there is, if you allow me, there is another way to approach Lost Box, not exactly that I would call this a different Lost Box variant, but you can argue that it is, which is by pairing it up, this engine, with Giratina. Now, it has some advantages in the sense that, for instance, it is more resistant to the Klefki lock. There is this new Klefki that negates all your active Pokemon, all your basic abilities. So Comfey will not be able to be activated and Cramorant cannot attack. However, with Giratina you can use it first attack to start sending cards to the Lost Zone and depend less on Klefki so that your Mirage gates are live earlier. Also, it's easy to KO everything with access to Star Requiem and access to Lost Impact, a very powerful attack, and then you can close the games with either Sableye or with Cramorant. So it's another thing that you could consider. I'm not saying that you should choose one version over the other. I am just saying that make sure that you have all the necessary cards to play Lost Zone, to test well how to move the resources, how to make the better use of what you have in the deck, because either you're playing Lost Box in the next format or you are going against it. That's basically it. Then, what are, and that to me is the main deck that we will see post-rotation, the one that I consider that will be on the target. But there are other 2 decks that I want to speak about. One is a deck, well actually 3 more decks. One, I'm not going to spend a lot of time because this is something that we are pretty much used to see. This is something that we all know. It's been here with us for the past 1 year and a half. So Mew VMAX is going to be one of the most powerful decks after post-rotation, mainly because of 2 things. First, I think that is the deck that loses less cards from the fewer cards from the rotation. It only loses quick bolts, but it can be kind of it can still survive by using Feather Balls and Nest Balls, as this version that I am showing you right now. And then because it can still rely on the old combo of Judge plus Path to the Peak combination to leave your opponent without resources. And don't underestimate how difficult this is going to be for opponents to get out of this lock. There are not many options to get out of Path to the Peak. Well, of course, they can still run Lost Vacuum and maybe counter stadiums, but Judge is going to be very, very painful to deal with. I think that Mew is going to be paired up with Meloetta, as it will have the necessary attackers to KO even the biggest V-Star Pokemon in the format, but you could always try to opt to play a very, very focused control strategy, as the ones that we have been seeing lately, and just swap the Fusion Strike energies on the Meloetta and add a 4th copy of the double turbo energy and some more consistency cards. So Mew is going to be there. Now, the only issue that I have with Mew is that I feel that people are going to be countering it very hard. For instance, I have seen some deck lists that run double Drapion, which, I mean, I'm not saying that Mew is going to be such a meta-defining card that you need to run double Drapion, but, well, the options are there. So if Mew is very, very powerful, I think that Drapion is going to be played a lot. And then I want now to move on to what I consider that is a very, very under the radar deck, but it's going to be one of the most consistent ones, especially as the format goes on. I am talking about Gardevoir EX. Now, I really think that this is going to be a very playable EX because you can, at the cost of adding 2 damage counters to any Pokemon, you can add as many energy from your discard pile, well, psychic energy, sorry, from your discard pile to any of your Pokemon. And this is just amazing because you basically can forget about the problem of manually attaching energies. You have you have all the energies in the world to attack. Now, the good thing about Gardevoir is that you can pair it up with different psychic attackers, and you can, for instance, attack this Gardevoir here, which deals quite some decent damage to go against maybe one Pricer decks. Then you can use Cresselia to heal off the damage Pokemon on your bench. And don't forget this Seishan from Celebrations is a really good attacker. I think that it can KO everything in the format with the necessary amount of energies. Like with 9 or 8 energies, it already KOs even a VMAX Pokemon. The only problem that I see with this deck is that I don't know how consistent it is in terms of setting up. This player, for instance, have decided to run 4 copies of Battle VIP Pass, which is really good to start in turn 1. And once you are able to set up multiple copies of your routes, I think that you are good to go. Because remember that you are running these routes from Refinement that has a trading ability, in the sense that it will let you discard 1 card and draw 2. So you basically have access to everything you want during your game. I think this is going to be a kind of difficult deck to pilot, because you have to have a really clear strategy against every type of deck. This is not Mew, that Mew is just double Duro energy, I attack, retreat, attack, or boss orders 3 times to win the game. You will really need to know when to attack with which Pokemon, when to use your healing options, when to disrupt your opponent's hand, and so on. But overall, I think that it is clear that this is a really good deck. It was able to get in the second position of a 3,000 people tournament, so don't underestimate Gardevoir EX. And I have the feeling that this deck is only going to become better, because if you think about it, all that Gardevoir is missing is a good psychic attacker. And yes, I mean, Seishan from Celebrations is decent, it's not good, it's just decent. So I think that we are going to be seeing something like a Dragapult EX coming in the next few sets, and we are all going to turn and play Gardevoir. And also, if you ask me, I've been playing Pokemon long enough to know that Pokemon loves Gardevoir, and that they always create a really broken Gardevoir card that dominates the format. And then there is one last thing that I want to show you, because while I consider that this is going to be a bit of a tier 2 deck, I think that this is still going to be very interesting. And I am talking about Lugia. Yes, Lugia still survives. I know that this sounds a bit unrealistic, because Lugia is losing so many cards, but the good thing that Lugia has is that Arceus' ability is still very powerful, so you only have to find different companions. In this sense, what Lugia is going to be paired up with, most likely, unless you find another option, are the Single Strike Pokemon. Why? Because they have access to the Single Strike energy, which is one of the most powerful energies in the game right now, and because there are a lot of different attackers that you can take advantage of. So you can use Stonjourner, which is a good one-price attacker. You can use the Tyranitar. Yes, who would have said that this Tyranitar from Battle Styles was going to be played? Actually, it can deal a lot of damage if you attach all the 4 single strike energies. It can KO a V-Star and even a VMAX Pokemon, and not to mention that it is a really good attacker against Mew. But even Mew, I think that it's going to be a difficult matchup, so that's why this player has opted to run one Drapion. And then there are other single strike Pokemon that you could include in the deck, like perhaps Deoxys. Now, while I think that this deck can be very interesting and definitely needs to be tested out, my biggest concern is its consistency. If some of you have already been playing Lugia for the past few months, you know that most likely you are able to get the turn 1 setup, but sometimes you don't. And it is especially hurtful when your opponent plays a Path to the Peak and you cannot get rid of it, or even worse, when your opponent plays a Judge. So my biggest concern is that without access to Quick Balls and without very easy access to your Luminions, how are you going to be properly sending the double Archeops in turn 2 to your discard pile? Now, however, if you do that, if you're able to do that, I am sure that this deck has a lot of possibilities against many things in the format. Perhaps the only deck that will cause you a lot of trouble is none other than Lost Box. I think that Lost Box is going to be very difficult to counter because you don't have Stoutland anymore, you don't have Marnie anymore, and yeah, you can have a Stonjourner, but at the end of the day, Lost Box is going to target down your Archeops, they will use Greninja, and then they will finish them off with Sableye, so it's going to be a really difficult matchup. But hey, that's what they are playing in Japan. I really hope that this video helped you got a quick understanding or a high-level overview of what are the decks that you should expect in this, at first during the first week, in this upcoming Scarlet and Violet metagame. If you ask me, I think that players are going to play safe, especially for the European Championship that we have in April. And I would expect a lot of people playing decks that they already know how to play. Mew is going to be one, Lost Box is going to be another. I also expect a lot of Giratinas, and then I'm not sure if people will be experimented a lot with things like Lugia or Miraidon or even Lechonk and these other cards. Is it Lechonk? Oh no, it's Oinglong. Well, these, the big Pokemon. I don't remember the name right now. But they definitely have potential. So, very short and hopefully sweet video for today, just looking ahead. But don't worry, because we are still going to be covering what for the remainder of the format. We have the late night series going on, and we will keep you posted. And whenever this becomes legal, we will be testing these decks with you guys, so that you can get a very good feeling of how they look, and you are in a situation to choose the next deck for this format. So thanks so much for staying with me one more day, and we will see each other very soon, actually on Tuesday for the late night series. Thank you so much, and consider subscribing if you like the content, or let me know in the comments what is going to be your go-to strategy for this upcoming format. Thanks so much, and bye bye!
The Shuffle Squad is proudly sponsored by Atlas Collectibles, the best place to buy any trading card game product online. Visit atlastcg.com, and at the checkout screen, make sure to use code TSS12 to save an unbeatable 12% off your entire order. Atlas Collectibles will ship your product anywhere in the world, so make sure you're taking advantage of the 12% savings with TSS12. And if Pokemon is not your thing, don't worry. Go to atlastcg.com and see all the other amazing trading card game products they have there to offer.
The Shuffle Squad is partnered with PTCGO Store to provide our community with the best access to Pokemon TCG codes. They have codes available 24/7, instant email delivery, and you can save 5% off by using code TSS5. If you're a YouTube member or Patreon supporter, you'll have access to a special code that gets you 10% off. So what are you waiting for? Use code TSS5 today and save 5% on your next order of codes on any codes available at ptcgostore.com.
Are you trying to be the best like no one ever was? Now is your time. Head on over to metafy.gg and search out all our amazing Pokemon TCG coaches, where you can book all sorts of training plans ranging from deck help to full season sessions with your favorite coach. What a great way to up your game. Check out metafy.gg in the description below and take your game to the next level. Challenge yourself against trainers from around the world to compete for the biggest online prizing yet.
Are you ready for an unbelievable tournament unlike anything else you've ever seen before? The Shuffle Squad is proud to announce our newest tournament series, the Late Night Events, with an amazing grand prize that's bound to have you excited.
Players can compete via play.limitless.tcg.com's online tournament platform every Tuesday to get a chance to earn weekly prizes. And every week, your placement in the tournament is tallied by points based on your best finishes to earn your rank for the Late Night Invitational event.
The series will be conducted starting February 7th of 2023 and carry all the way through to the Invitational on July 9th of 2023, where the top players will be rewarded the grand prizing.
And the grand prize is a signed jersey and photo op with the entire Shuffle Squad, as well as a fully paid trip to the Pokemon World Championships in Yokohama, Japan. This includes hotel and airfare, whether you're a player or a spectator.
Don't forget to check out all the live coverage on our YouTube and Twitch channel of the top cuts of these events for every week. And subscribe so you can get notified where to watch the Late Night Events Invitational, brought to you by the Shuffle Squad. Now get out there and start winning. We'll see you in Japan.